Good morning, I'm David Lunt, and today we are going to look at a list of the important things that you can do at home to help control this COVID-19 pandemic. Initial infections are mostly caught outside of our home environment, but many times more reinfections occur at home to produce the disease we call COVID-19. There are many things that we can do at home to keep not only ourselves but our family safe, but also our worldwide society safe as well. This is the list of what you can do to protect your family at home and why. Firstly, become aware of the fact that we are living in the worst pollution ever, and it is man-made. Become aware of the fact that we breathe in and out polluted air 21,600 times every day. We therefore need to measure the pollution in our home environment. Air pollution monitors are affordable, so buy one or more. Measure the pollution in your home air, which is the air that you are breathing in during inspiration. Also measure the pollution in the air that we breathe out during expiration. Finding out what is causing this unhealthy pollution is important. It can be the food we have eaten or disease or malignancy byproducts. Medical investigation might be needed. You also need to look at your weight. Weight is very important and is one of the worst things to have a weight problem if you do happen to catch COVID-19. So before you catch it, make sure that you get your body mass index corrected. You need to weigh yourself, you need to measure your height, and then you can calculate your body mass index, which should be between 26 and 18. And this you can do with diet and exercise, and quite often it's best to see your doctor about it and discuss it with him because there are some medical conditions such as type 2 diabetes which could decrease your chances of success, and you put in a lot of effort and then be just discouraged by it. There are lots of things we can do nowadays for type 2 diabetes to make sure it's much easier for you to lose weight. If you're taking drugs, alcohol or smoking in excess, then you need to decrease this. It's going to be much worse for you should you catch COVID-19 if this problem already is existing for you, and both of them make it more likely that you will catch COVID-19. So decrease those during the pandemic, something you must start doing today and succeed as soon as possible. Help is available should you need it. Accept help from your doctor or clinics. Experts are available and will encourage you. Purify your home air by washing and drying the air that your family is breathing. Today we have water filtered vacuum cleaners that have been available for years. I've had one for decades. And dehumidifiers. A lot of people have dehumidifiers, and what you're doing with a vacuum cleaner, you're sucking the air which is in the room through the vacuum cleaner. The dust and everything off the floor is being picked up. The water is washing the dust out of the air, and it stays in the water, but some minor particles called micelles, tiny little ones, get out, and those you can remove with a dehumidifier. So you've got dry air which you're breathing in, and there are lots of good reasons for doing that. So water filter vacuum cleaners and dehumidifiers are affordable and wash and dry the air that you and your family are breathing. It's exactly the same as washing and drying your hands. When our air is so much polluted, we've got to do it to the air as well. The deadly COVID-19 is spread in polluted air. It's a pollutant in the air which we've been breathing. Washing and drying the air you breathe will remove COVID-19 threat every time you breathe, which is 21,600 times every day. We need to use a biphasic mouthwash at least twice a day. They are now available on the market and have been available for some time. What these have is they have an area in them which is hydrophilic and an area which is hydrophobic. Now the hydrophobic part of it gets in between the bacteria and the teeth. And by getting in there, it pulls the virus away from, or the bacteria away from the teeth. It'll do exactly the same thing to virus. You can have a hydrophobic bond between the virus and whatever it's attaching to. Happens to be the AS2 inhibitor site, so the virus could get in there as well. So if the virus is attaching in the mouth and nasal area, because this has to be spat out, you can't go swallowing it. It's not licensed for that, and there's some things in it which is toxic, which means that it cannot be swallowed. So you need to spit it out. But you can use other things which are foods, include plant hydrophobic surfactants such as coconut oil in small amounts in your diet. Can probably have some effects on that. You can see when you eat a couple of teaspoons full of it, in a few hours your skin is nice and oily. Well, it's passing through the whole of your body. There's a chance that it might be decreasing the attachment of the virus to the ACE inhibitor sites within the lung as well. We don't know that, but some people say it's very healthy for you. Quite how it's so healthy for you, but a lot of people do take it. We need to avoid UV and UVC light. These are things which have been used recently for sterilizing a lot of different things, and the problem with it is that it causes mutations. And we've got a lot of virus around in the world today, and if you're exposing it to UV and UVC, you can be causing mutations. Some of those mutations will certainly be killing off the virus, but some of the mutations may not be killed off and might start a new variant of the virus. So avoid those as far as possible, and other radiations as well. In hospitals we should do less x-rays if possible, and we should avoid radiation heaters for heating our homes. There are other convection heaters which can do the same job at the same cost. Prevent chances of mutation occurring by removing viral particles from the air which spreads it. Well, that is what we're doing by washing and drying our hands. We're removing the viral particles out from us. We need to learn from bats who only get a very mild or asymptomatic form of COVID-19. There are reasons for that. They haven't planned them. We can plan what we do, but they have evolved systems which have made them better. We need to look at their systems and see why is it that they're only getting a mild thing, and could we do the same thing? Will that help us? And one of the things they do is they fly during the day. So any virus present in air passes too swiftly over their face for them to inhale much of it. So if you're inhaling less of it, it's probably not an effective dose, or it's a minimum dose, so they only get a small amount of the infection, and it's a subclinical or very mild infection. So that's one of the ways in which bats can do it. Same applies to any expired virus particles, so much less reinfections occur. If we've caught an infection, we can be asymptomatic, but if we so therefore don't know, so we need to sterilize the air most of the time. If you've got an asymptomatic infection, when you breathe out, you'll be breathing these particles out. And then because they're around your nose, when you inhale, if you inhale straight away, it's going to be coming back into your lungs. So you're increasing the infective dose. And this is every time you breathe. Remember that figure, 21,600 times a day. It's a lot of times for you to be getting reinfecting. And infective doses, you can start off with an asymptomatic dose or a subclinical infection where there's insufficient of the virus for it to actually cause a symptomatic infection, but you can have more than that. You can have an infective dose which does cause infection, and then you can have a lethal dose if you've got too much. In other words, if you're getting too much of an infection too quickly, and with that huge number of breaths we're taking, it can be very quick, then you're more likely to get a worse infection, ending up in long COVID or even dying. So we need to be very careful to prevent infections, and it's reinfections which are most important, because this occurs when you're at home and you're lying in bed asleep at night, and also if you're lying in bed because you're feeling ill and you're taking the day off to recover. So we need to make sure that our air gets sterilized for both inspiration and expiration. And that if you've got your, as I have, my dehumidifier close to my bed where I sleep at night, my nose gets warmed by the warm air coming from it. And then I breathe it out, and you can breathe out slower and longer, so that you give it time to be moved away. And you need to move the air around you. We can't fly, we're asleep, but we can get the air to move. The vacuum cleaner can pump the air past your face, so it's going past your face the same as the bat. So we'll be able to sterilize both inspired and expired air. Bats also hang upside down while asleep at night, allowing gravity to pull virus particles out of their bronchial trees. So upside down, particles are in the virus, being pulled down by gravity and coming out through the nose when they are breathing upside down. We're the wrong way up, but we can sleep. When we're sleeping, we're horizontal. So that does away with the gravity effect to a certain extent, but we can also have head down a little bit when we're sleeping. And the advantage is also to turning the patients, which they do in hospital, from turning the prone position to supination position, helps them to breathe a bit. So bats hanging upside down have also got other effects, because this gravity also pulls the sides of them together, just as you carry a bag of shopping. It pulls the sides together. It does the same thing to all the abdominal contents and the respiratory contents. Everything which is in the bat is pulled down towards the lungs, compressing the lungs, closing the alveoli, and you get a very good expiration. Whereas we don't have that. We're the wrong way up. The gravity is pulling the virus into us, and so is all this abdominal contents, everything. It's pulling down the wrong way on us. So bats have got advantages, but we can do the same thing. We can do things like move the air around, which the bats can't do, and there are lots of other things that we can do as well. Okay. 22.4 litres. This we taught at school, both my wife and I, and it sounds a bit complicated, but it's not all that complicated. All compounds, if you turn them from a solid or liquid into a gaseous state, produces 22.4 litres if you've got the gram molecular weight of it. Now that's a universal law, and it's going to apply the same whether it's in a bat or it's in humans. But it's a very big change in volume. 18 cc's, which would be 18 grams for water, as the gram molecular weight is 18 cc's, and that's been turned into 22.4 litres, 1,000 times bigger. So you've got a small volume which you've drunk in water. If you're going to use a dehumidifier, make sure you remain humidified, so you've got to drink lots of water. It's changing a small amount of water into 1,000 times bigger volume which you're expiring. And this is happening that huge number of times every time you breathe in and out. Now with bats, because they have negative pressure respiration, they have all the muscles of respiration, which are the same as their flight muscles, pulling on their chest, opening their chest up wide, so they get a big negative pressure, and then they just relax those. You've still got negative pressure, but you've got gravity pulling and everything else pushing, so you get a good expiration. But because bats have negative pressure respiration, the amount that's 22.4 litres will be even more than that because of the negative pressure, and it will be that constantly, more when they're inspiring, but less so when they're expiring, but still negative, so more than what we've got. And there are different types of methods which we can use to do that. When I passed my Royal Life-Saving Association exams 65 years ago, when I was a 15-year-old schoolboy, we were taught the Holger-Nielsen and the Schaefer methods, and I even have used those as a casualty officer when a person came in to me who had spent half an hour at the bottom of a swimming pool, was absolutely still. Everybody thought he was dead. And by using Holger-Nielsen and the Schaefer methods, I resuscitated him. So there are different methods of resuscitation apply for different procedures. Uh, the greater negative pressure also squeezes virus particles out of the alveolar during expiration by closing the alveoli, and sucks virus particles out when the alveoli are open during inspiration. The opposite occurs in humans, and so bats have advantages there, but all those advantages we can change to our advantage as well, because we know what we need to do, and we can do all of those things. Rehydrating dry air will require energy and stimulate aerobic metabolism of carbohydrates, consuming oxygen and producing carbon dioxide and water. Well, we all know that if we've dried air and we inhale dried air, we're going to humidify it, all right? So that is all coming from our body. And if you're going to use a dehumidifier, you need to make sure that you're well hydrated. You must drink lots of water, more than 3 liters a day. And then that water gets turned into, as we said earlier on, into 22.4 liters per gram molecular weight. But in doing that, you require energy, and that energy comes from the food which you eat. Whatever the carbohydrate is you eat, that gets broken down, and that's producing carbon dioxide, which you're going to be exhaling, and you're consuming oxygen, which is coming in. And it's also going to help with weight control, because it is using up a lot of energy to do that. And you'll find that if you are on a diet and you're trying to lose weight, you'll see by using these methods that it'll be much easier for you. That in males, the central body fat, which is around your tummy, will be much easier to control. You'll find it easier to pull your belt in. You'll find it easier to show people, look, I've lost a lot of weight around my waist. And for women, it's opposite. It's the other areas where females put on weight around the hips. But the same thing happens to that weight as well. That is carbohydrate-dependent fat, which can be replaced and can be utilized fairly easily. And that is what we use when we're needing to change it into hydrating, dehydrated air which we have breathed in. Bats have a respiratory system 175 times more efficient than humans. This is because in order for bats, they are flying mammals, in order for them to fly, they've got to have a very efficient system. So they've evolved a system which negative respiratory system, and they've got huge muscles of flight. And these flight are exactly the same as what we call our muscles, or accessory muscles of respiration. In other words, they pull on the chest, they open up the chest, then they relax them, then it goes back down again. And that is what we can see in children. If a child's got a pneumonia, then the lungs can't expand, and you see in between the ribs, you see the recession between the ribs, underneath the ribs, and above the rib cage as well. Subcostal, intercostal, supracostal recession, and we know the child's got a pneumonia. We treat him with an antibiotic, and if you see it in any of your children, take them along to hospital straight away, or to see a doctor. Almost all of the muscle mass of a bat is in their wings, and so those are accessory muscles of respiration. So that can all make the respiration more efficient. In humans, we've got most of our masses with our legs carrying our weight around, and then our arms, we're using our arms for all sorts of things, activities of daily living. So our accessory muscles of respiration are very much smaller, and that means that bats have 175% more efficient respiratory systems than we have. All the advantages of bats we can improve upon because of our intelligence and ability, most importantly, to produce vaccines. People have shown their intelligence, they've shown their ability, they've shown how outstanding they are. They've produced vaccines in record time. But even in producing it in record times, we congratulate them enormously. But we've had mutations occurring before we can give out these vaccines. So what we've neglected to do, and what we need to do better, is to improve at home. We need to treat people more correctly, and there are 30 things here which all of us can do at home which will improve our management of COVID-19 at home. And if we do that, we decrease the amount of virus which is around, we decrease the amount of mutation which can take place, and we give everybody in the hospital time to recover and time to manage patients who, because of comorbidities, need to go there. We need to make sure that we do not overstress our hospitals as they are at the present time by doing what's asked of us, and also by doing what we can do at home. We can help everybody, not only our own family. We can help everybody worldwide to do this. Best of luck, and I hope every success in doing it. Fear of worse mutations can occur with insufficient time to produce specific vaccines. It's very real. We can end up becoming extinct. It's real. It can happen by virus pandemics if they are lethal enough. And who would win? The bats would win. And so we'd have a world full of flying bats, and they would develop intelligence. So if you want to think of what a future intelligence on some planet we might find, you never know. It could be a bat. So anyway, best of luck. We want to make sure that we just do our bit, and every one of us can do that. Best of luck. Thank you. Things that we can do at home to help both prevent and manage COVID-19 patients at home and decrease the numbers reaching the respiratory distress stage when they need admission to hospital and potential ventilation in hospital intensive care units. We need to prevent that, and we can do that at home. At home, if we manage to sterilize the air which people are breathing in at home, sterilize it which they're exhaling, and we can do that by washing and drying our air, we will manage COVID-19 pandemic far better at home than we have been up until now. And we will help those in the hospitals which are being overworked, and all the patients we will be trying to keep at home without having to send them up. If we manage them properly at home, they won't need to go to hospital. They don't need to be subjected to hospital-acquired infection. They won't need to be subjected to mutations acquired through hospitals where they've got a huge concentration of the virus around. And we need to decrease the comorbidities at home as well, and so that people don't catch this. And the elderly, we need to protect them. We need to make sure all our old age homes have dehumidifiers, and that all the homes are washed with vacuum through water filtration systems. That is what we'd all love to do, and good luck to you all in getting it done. Thank you.